Gary Angel is our speaker this morning. Gary's talk today is entitled Safe Haven, Pure Love. Go ahead, Gary.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to share what's most important to me. It touches me deeply to have your kind attention. Good morning, beloveds. I am doing my best now to relate the answers to my most basic questions. I minimally make up the memory of my arrival in a hospital bassinet, flailing my arms and turning my head with no coordination or usefulness, asking, where am I? What is this? What's my place in it? The song I chose to precede this talk, is a pop song of our time that relates in an emotion-evoking way what could be called the desire of our hearts. It's our yearning or proclivity that draws our attention to the answers to these questions in our everyday worldly human existence. The song's intended to connect us here to a place that's present, some path to the answers. My talk will be as though I were talking to my grandchildren, who are relatively fresh to this place, for one thing, and with whom I have a relationship of privilege to share the best I know that they might take their lives on my shoulders. This UU gathering, first holding a principle of mutual respect, to me, offers a place for each of us to express in this way. You've heard me express how much I love what we have here. I do. I get that you do too. So here are the basics of what I understand. I'm not trying in the least bit to convince you of anything. My experience is that I let in all the perspectives. I find the answers in their commonality. First, the most important understanding and experience that I have to share that informs me the most, the ground of our being, to me, is the field of pure consciousness. I also use terms, what we call God. It's said that there is a quadrinity of human way that is mind, body, emotions, and spirit. I'm referring to the spirit part, our souls, what's our presence behind our minds as pure consciousness. An aside, the Hindus say that the only things we truly know are what we directly experience. I'm mentioning this as inescapably in this talk. I'm using words and coming from my mind to yours. Hopefully, an expression of spirit or heart from mine to yours through words and ideas. So what's being expressed are representations of actuality or reality. Before I'm done today, I will share some experiences that, for me, have informed the actuality of pure consciousness and its character of, as best I can use a word, it is love. The title of my talk is Safe Haven, True Love. Perhaps you're getting a glimpse already of my inference. The many mystics of many traditions have most famously and expressively shared similar perspectives in their poetry. They invite us to the actuality of the experience of knowing the awesomeness and wonder of the non-dual, non-judgmental, pure presence that is in that Buddhist invocation to our still, quiet, empty moment. Oh, our libraries are full of what I'm sharing and said better by others who apparently have even deeper knowing experience of what I speak. The more I become aware the more I see how many others are already there. There's a perspective that says that in awareness, we can only see where we are and below. Pop songs, sacred documents, poetry, stirring music, well, so many venues express and point to what I invite our attention to. An aside here, when it's discussion time, I do not invite that you join me in my paradigm. I invite you to share yours. Many are the ways, the paths, it is said, to realization. I swear, to me, it jumps out best when many perspectives are shared and what's held in common appears even intuitively. I, at least, maybe all of us humans, are stuck filtering everything through our minds, so that what we perceive and paradigm are representations that for each of us individually orient us as best we can manage to successfully navigate our worlds. I don't know that I have fully expressed this idea of pure consciousness yet. I'd like to move on to what I consider pure consciousness only agency, its only faculty, its only action. That is attention. I'm a poet and consider for myself my poetry to be the voice of the soul. I cannot write poetry. It shows up and I write it down. I have my own book of poetry that's to share with friends everywhere. You, if you'd like. It's a gift I've received that is my passion, my expression to regift to others. One of my early poems, and most significant, was my takeaway from my first Burning Man. It's called Please, Please Don't Pinch Me. Here it is. I've learned that each of us lives in his, her own world. I live in mine. Whatever I give attention grows. Whatever I let be atrophies. Please, please don't pinch me. I do not want to wake up from this dream. Whatever I give attention grows. Whatever I let be atrophies in my world. And so it is that I directly experience in my little life and world the miracle of creation that underlies our being. As I quiet myself, this is quite a loaded little phrase, as I quiet myself, I find myself, my mind, which I do my best to quiet. Excuse me. As I quiet myself, this is quite a loaded little phrase, as I quiet myself, I find my mind, which I do my best to quiet, the ultimate source. I turn my own attention, which is the only act of my consciousness, back on itself, my soul behind my mind, back to its source. There it is, pure consciousness. When I successfully do this, I know that pure consciousness is exactly the same as what is behind each of our minds. I can look into your eyes as I am right now and say, eyes of God to eyes of God. Will I get to safe haven true love? I'm heading there. Back to as I quiet myself, or the already mentioned American Buddhist still quiet empty moment. The Vedantists, mystic level of Hinduism, say that many are the paths to the absolute. I've advanced my own meditations over time. One process that I use is cycling through about 25 different accesses to what we call God. To light up the actuality in their commonality. Come from the heart. Notice that is present, that was never created or begun, that will never end. Selfless, constant surrendering. Purity of heart. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. I'm going to take one or two direct experiences I have had to share what informs my confidence in the actuality for me of the ground of our being. First, the gift that my mother gave me as I was with her as she died. I was the fortunate one of the family to be with my 101-year-old mother at her death. She stopped breathing. In that moment, I witnessed her face regain youthfulness, her eyes turn wide as saucers, a broad smile cross her face, and all the effects of being in front of double doors opening to a surprise party. I could never really fear death again. What a gift. Second, my ultimate life experience so far under the influence of a natural mind-altering substance meant to usher us between duality and non-duality. Should I disclose how I escaped mind to access such epiphany as I'm going to share? Some of you might say, what were you on? Burning bush and mountaintop religious icons experiences are suspected the same. Osho, who spent his early life in India looking for the actuality of the ground of being, finally allowed that our US hippies had the access, the answer for him. He's the guru, very popular in India and the US in his time, arrested in South Carolina for his candidness and leading a rather extravagant Cadillac, I think, womanizing lifestyle in our Northwest. Huston Smith, our best known comparative religion scholar, credited mind-altering substances to the God's messages that became the core of others' traditions. Certainly this is controversial. My story. I have pursued the answers to my infant questions. Where am I? What is this? What's my place in it all my life? Indeed, that's what's been most important to me. Admittedly, as an aside, judging by how I've used my time, I've been focused on lovers, family, home, and nature to a great degree as well. I'm not going to tell my blow-by-blow life story. Suffice it to say that I'm a mystic, one who seeks deepest knowledge of what we call God, and a lover. You who have gotten to know me have not escaped being told, I love you. Military service in Thailand during the Vietnam War freed me from cultural absoluteness. I experienced that other cultures have very different perspectives. I was freed from cultural dictate to a significant degree. Freed. Since my 60s on, I have practiced daily study and devotions, not necessarily consistently though. I'm not going to chronicle that either, just to say that my practice changes as I engage and at times let it rest. This past spring, I picked up 3 times a day, 30-minute devotions. Everything I had done till then lost traction for me. I found myself drawn to go as directly as I could to what earlier I called the ground of our being. Soon I found myself focusing on the spiritual realm to the exclusion as much as I could from all else. I might say oblivious to all else. I had glimpses and moments of breaking through mind, body, and emotions to pure spirit. Oh my God, Oh my God. The Vedantists say that the ground of our being is absolute existence, absolute knowledge, and absolute bliss. Bliss is defined as oblivious to all else in the dictionary. That's what instructed me to try oblivious to all else except spirit as a focus in my devotions. It became clear to me that this oblivion was tantamount to death of mind, body, and emotions. It was some scary to take myself through that gauntlet to eternity in the moment. Saint Francis's "It's in dying that we are born to eternal life" points directly at this after cataloging the extremes of a list of dual reality phenomenon. Where there is hatred, let me so love, etc. A quick aside, the library is full of the mystic poetry of every tradition. Seems a venue of pointing to truth. I had heard of DMT at Burning Man. It is the chemist's exact molecular duplication of what our minds are bathed in at our moments of birth and death. Death's reviewing life in a flash is attributed to DMT's wash. So here might be an experience of actually dying while alive, going oblivious to human life, transported to spirit's realm. I got up the courage and nerve, driven by desperation to know who we call God actually being that. I arranged for a friend to take care of me in this. I understood that avatars, devotees, watched and protected their avatars' bodies while they swooned to samadhi, oneness with God. May of last year, I went to Idaho BLM land wilderness and went for it. Aspiring to the experience of death was very scary and anxiety-ridden. DMT is ingested like smoking marijuana, a small amount of white powder on the surface of an herb base. On my attempt to hold the second of the suggested full lungs and held full lungs, I handed the pipe over quickly and swooned into, I have to stop here and say this is not the realm of words at all. I'll do my best. I handed the pipe over quickly and swooned into a gelatinous infinite field of pure love. Oh my God, indeed, nothing in my entire life comes close at all. I knew that I was love, that my only agency was love. This is not an AA drug-a-log. It's a one-time extreme experience I never need to duplicate. As well as the 45 minutes of my experience passed, I was purged from the top of my head, tips of my fingers and toes into my body trunk core. I was purified. Oh, after some length of time, I realized I was not breathing. I consciously inhaled to experience what was like a match to gasoline of the aliveness of my body. Oh my God, again. The amplitude of this experience was so extreme that I opened my mouth beyond capacity and let out a noise like a huge blast of a Tibetan mountain horn. My friend was so alarmed that someone would hear me that he made up that he'd explain that I was subject to seizures and it would pass. Handel had to have this same experience as his Messiah is the only experience that compares in intensity and lyrics he expresses so loudly and vigorously. I recommend it to you. I was so present in this experience to whatever, sort of experiencing omnipresence. The absolute presence continued, although abating, over the following 2 years. So present to what is that I make up. The evolutionary imperative of the ground of being had me see one opportunity after another to forward and advance wherever my attention fell. In short, I depict this experience as a trust fall into spirit's realm. The next morning in Nampa, poetry came. And I share with you these 2 poems. The first one is called Yesterday I Died. Now I lay me down to sleep. Yesterday I died. My friend, others imagined, at my side. I knew the reaper's presence. Anxiety in belly's pit rose like bile up my throat, the lie I'd live forever denied. The closer that I stepped, gallow deceased my own hand. Different doors to choose. Toward one, the reaper's helper, person whose seats at this place directed me. A kindly stranger's touch, my heart sunk deep, my breath let be, fully expelled, no trusted automatic inhale. I could let go. Startled from the dream, I was grasped as by nap of neck drawn back, in gasp. There it was, life's trusted angel hand. Another, slower, longer, the push and pull, till finally I let go. Seemed big I, to be eternity's promise unfold as true self. Your consciousness took on actuality. Spirit's domain welcomed home. And the second poem, It's My Stop. Gary Angel has stopped, content in the moment for eternity. This is where I get off. It's my stop. Now, safe haven, pure consciousness. I'm trusting without my saying more, you can relate to my own sense of this. I've done my best with what we humans have, mind and words, to share my answers to where am I? Who is this? What is my place in this? When I come from that place I know is true self, my soul's tip of the iceberg of the field of pure consciousness. I am that force whose attention has been the evolutionary imperative that has given up its own identity to become you, me, and all this is in this passing duality. When I am our true self and know it experientially for myself, I look upon you with the pride of being that has loved us into existence and sustains us through eternity. Finally, my all-time favorite scripture of all traditions are the words of Christ upon his death. I paraphrase, Father, I have done what you asked. Now, I return to be with you as we were before the world was. Thank you, dear ones.